Hello, thank you for choosing our kit. And now we will take a closer look at the contents. We have a cute greeting card that everyone will love. Gloves, cups, large and small. Epoxy resin and hardener. Before you start work, we recommend to turn the resin and hardener upside down lids, so that the resin flowed down and it was easier to pour it into the cup, because the resin is quite thick. Next we have the moss. A bag with PPE and auxiliary tools, namely spatulas, picture hangers and nails, respiratory mask, napkins, disposable apron and oilcloth to protect your table. We also have a bag of decorating supplies, and in it are dyes, sand, wave powder, seashells and pebbles. And of course the instructions, printed with a QR code, and the artboard we'll be painting on. Now we'll put everything away and get to work. First, you need to cover the table or the surface you are working on with foil. I have already done it. Then put on protective equipment, gloves, mask, apron, and let's get started. We take large cups, 3 pieces, and put them with their bottoms up, so that we get a stand for our board. And we put the board on top of them. White side up. Take care that the surface of your table is perfectly level. You can take a regular construction level or download a level app on your phone, put it on the artboard and if necessary something to put under the cups or under the table in order to level the surface. Otherwise, the drawing from the artwork may run off and ruin the whole experience for you. Now we take another large cup and pour the resin from the bottle into it. I do this on the board so you can see what I'm doing. You are advised to pour the resin somewhere near the board so you don't drip too much. You also need to pour all the resin out of the bottle. To do this you need to hold the bottle over the cup, shake it. You can also take a spatula and use the spatula to take the resin out of the bottle. Just like that. Now pour the hardener from the bottle into the same cup and start stirring. Stir intensely, but not quickly, for 2 to 3 minutes. When you start stirring, you may notice that there appear some veins, stripes, threads as if. That's what we need to remove. We need to stir the resin until it becomes transparent. Yes, there may be bubbles in it, but that's normal. Now my resin is clear and I'm setting it aside. Take a regular pencil and draw the outline of your island. It's the inner part of it, where the water will be. So I'm drawing this heart inside. And you can also draw small islands at once. And now we'll start tinting the resin. We have 4 little cups. We take them all out and start pouring the resin from the big cup. In the first cup, I'm going to pour the resin for the waves. Next, we'll do a graphic insert in the video showing how much resin to pour into which cup to make it easier for you to navigate. Pour a little bit of resin to start with, and then if necessary, after we pour the sand in there, we'll pour more. Now we'll take the cup for the light area of the sea and pour the resin into it. And a glass for the darker part of the sea. I will have more light part of the sea, accordingly, I poured a little more resin there, and a little less in the dark part. And also in the big cup we left the resin in order to pour a cup with sand if necessary. And we'll also need to leave some clear resin to pour along our shoreline. We take the bag of sand, open it up. Again, I'm doing this over the side so you can see it. You do it somewhere nearby, so that the extra sand, some unnecessary things do not fall out on the artboard, and you do not have to do some unnecessary work to remove from there to wash. And we pour the whole bag of sand into the cup with resin. Take a spatula and start mixing. Stir intensively, collecting sand from the walls, from the bottom of the cup. The consistency should be viscous, like thick semolina, like thick honey. I am satisfied with what we got, so I do not add resin from the glass. And I'll just pour it into the glass with the light sea area. That being said, I remind you that we are still leaving some resin in the big cup. We take the powder for waves and pour all the contents of the package into a small glass, which we had intended for waves. And with a spatula we start mixing. Stir intensively, whipping the powder into such a thick foam, perhaps similar to meringue. We need to dissolve all the grains of sand, as it is still a powder, in order that the grains of sand in the glass did not remain stirring for 1 to 2 minutes. Cup for waves put aside, and take a cup for the light part of the sea. Let's take the colors. Here again I will make a note that I open the dyes and will tint the resin over the board, so that you can see. You are also advised to do this somewhere near the board, not over the board itself. Take a drop of white dye, just a little bit, a drop, and add it to the cup. We stir a little bit and we take a drop of blue dye, also just a little bit, add it to the same beaker where we added the white dye, and we start stirring. Why do we add the dye a little at a time? Because the dye is very concentrated, and if you add a lot, you can make opaque dark, highly saturated color. It is better to stir the resin, and then add more color if necessary. We stir intensively to make the color homogeneous, so that there are no streaks. We can check the resulting color on the walls of the glass or directly on the board, on the area where we will have this color. We take the glass for the dark part of the sea and add the blue color. Also do this not over the painting. I add a couple drops of blue and stir well intensely too. The resulting color I also check on the board. Now remove everything unnecessary, put everything aside and proceed directly to work. We take a cup with sand, once again stir well for about 30 seconds. We make a spout in the cup, narrow enough, but so that the resin passed. And we start pouring. Now I take a spatula and with a spatula I lay out small islands. Flatten them out and give them the desired shape. Take into account that if you put a lot of sand at once, it can spread out and the size of your islands will be larger than you expected. Therefore, put the sand a little at a time. Also, try not to hold the cup over the board, so that you don't get drops of sand in places you don't want. But even if that happens, it's no big deal. We just take a napkin and wipe away any unnecessary stuff we don't need. Next, we also take sand and a spatula and start shaping the shape of our island. Take into account that 1 centimeter 2 takes moss on the picture, so if you want around the moss still remain the shore, as here, as in this picture, we need to put 1 centimeter 4 to 5 of sand. If on your picture there will be little sand, as here, for example, then 2 to 3 centimeters will be enough. We continue shaping our island. In the video I show how to make a heart. Your imagination can be unlimited. It can be a circle, it can be several islands, it can be abstract shapes and so on. We flatten the sand and form the island. If you feel that you do not like the shape, then do not worry, a little later we will correct everything. We take a napkin, wrap it around our finger, and here we correct the shape of our island, round off some points, return the resin that ran back. If necessary, we help ourselves with a spatula and also with a napkin. We take a glass of resin for the light part of the sea and begin to slowly lay out with a spatula, not even pour, lay out the inside of our island. I make it blue. In your case, however, the choice may be different. You may want to make the inside of the island a darker, blue water. There are no rules here, just your imagination. Do not pour a lot of resin inside the island, because in this case, if you pour it a lot, it will have nowhere to go, it will not be able to drain from the edges, respectively, it will find on the sand and it will not be very beautiful. Pull resin with a spatula. Here you can also tweak the shape of the heart with a spatula, if you do not like it, to sharpen the corner or vice versa, make some smoother lines. Now we remember about the big glass, in which we have a little bit of resin left. We form a spout, but so that the resin leaks, and begin to pour this resin along the shoreline between the sand and the area where you will have a light part of the sea. We do this with the heart-shaped island and do the same with small islands. If you originally left a lot of resin in the cup with this resin and now you see that it remains, you can pour it into any cup with the light part of the sea or with the dark part. You just need to stir again afterwards. Also form a spout in the cup and start pouring a circle like this. The area of your light sea can be bigger or smaller, there are no rules here. Pour resin a little, immediately take a spatula and start to pull, leveling. This resin is better to add more resin if necessary, than to pour it too much, otherwise it will start to fill up our shore, otherwise then there will be difficulties with mixing the rest of the layers of the sea. We take the same glass, take the dyes and add another literally small drop on the tip of the spatula blue color. And stir everything in the same cup. Again form the spout and start pouring the next layer of sea. Also do not pour too much resin, it is better to do it gradually, it is better to finish later, to finish what we do not have enough. Spatula stretch the resin, make transitions between layers. Now we take a glass with a dark part of the sea and also thin trickle pour the next layer of our sea. Given that I want to make the last part of the sea, the last layer, even darker, so leave room for it. We level the glass and add 1 or 2 more drops of blue dye. I repeat, also do it not over the artboard. I do it so that you can see, and you do it somewhere aside, so as not to drop too much. Shape the spout again and refill the very last section of the sea, the very last layer around the edges. Take a spatula and stir, make transitions between all the layers of the sea, make them smoother, softer, more beautiful. Don't be afraid to do something wrong. Just enjoy the process. It's a really mesmerizing process, very pleasant, very relaxing. Just enjoy it. Now let's move on to making waves. Let's take our cup of powder and stir it a little bit more. Stir it for 5 to 10 seconds. You can apply the resin with the wave pigment in 2 ways. You can do it with a spatula, like this, just gently applying the resin with pigment along the shoreline. Or you can form a spout at the cup and pour the resin through the spout. There are no clear rules on how to do it right here. With a spatula, you have more control over the amount of resin you apply. And in working with small islands, with small parts, this is still important. If you feel confident, you can apply the resin through the cup, through the spout. Let's leave the painting like this for a couple minutes, to allow the pigment to sink into the resin. Next, we take a hairdryer, an ordinary household hairdryer, and turn on the hottest air and the highest speed, and warm it up not over the painting, just blow into your hand, to the side, away from the picture, so that the air does not get in. We're just warming up the hairdryer now. Now that the hairdryer is warmed up, we start blowing the hairdryer on the waves. The air is the hottest. Choose a slow, small airflow, so that your waves do not fly somewhere to the sides. We hold the hairdryer at about a 45-degree angle. We can turn it sideways so we can get to our waves more precisely. Or we can put it straight up. Here we'll blow the little islands at once. Why? Because here we have waves next to each other, and they will find each other, because after all, the resin is mobile, and, I repeat, they are next to each other. So let's start by blowing these small islands and sacrifice the wave, which will move away from them, in order to make more emphasis on the wave, which is near the heart. Keep blowing, hold the hairdryer, turn it, blow and blow our wave. Do not drive the hairdryer on the waves, do not blow the hairdryer too much, too often, because the pigment, which is in the resin, it just mixes with the colored resin, and you will get mush instead of beautiful waves. If you want to blow somewhere, do it, correct it, but again, do not do it too much and too often. Lay out our islands from the moss, start with the heart and just along the waterline lay out the outline of the heart. Help with a spatula, hands, the same thing we do with small islands. Now take out pebbles from the set, shells, perhaps you have some shells of your own, which you brought from the sea, and lay them on your shore in the order in which you like, create your own shore, your own islands. You can also take a spatula and run it along the line of the board to remove any unwanted drips. Also collect the resin that you've got on the oilcloth and work it around the edges. And your painting is ready to dry. This will take from 8 to 15 hours depending on the temperature of your room. We hope that you managed to get a sea of pleasure, that you were satisfied and that you received only positive, only joyful emotions. We wish you good mood and further creative success. Thank you for choosing our set. All the best to you.